Title: The Silent Passenger. Part 1: The Midnight Road. The highway stretched endlessly before Jake, a desolate ribbon of asphalt cutting through the thick wilderness. The glow of his dashboard was the only source of light aside from his headlights, which barely managed to pierce the dense fog rolling in. He had worked a double shift at the diner, and exhaustion was setting in, but he knew the road home like the back of his hand. It was a familiar yet unsettling drive, a stretch of road where cell service flickered in and out, where cars rarely passed this late at night. The silence was heavy. Even the radio, which had been playing an old rock station, suddenly fizzled into static. Jake frowned, adjusting the dial, but it remained nothing but white noise. A sharp gust of wind rattled his windows, sending a chill down his spine. He gripped the wheel tighter. Then, in the distance, he saw it, a figure standing by the roadside, thumb outstretched. Part 2: The Hitchhiker. Jake instinctively let off the gas, his gut tightening with unease. The figure was tall, draped in a long black coat with a hood covering most of their face. They stood motionless, their arm extended in an almost mechanical manner. For a fleeting moment, Jake considered driving past, but as he did, he noticed something strange. His car slowed down on its own. His foot was still on the gas, but the car responded as if someone had pressed the brakes. The headlights flickered. The radio emitted a low, garbled whisper. Not quite a voice, not quite static. The hitchhiker turned its head towards him. Their face was obscured, but two glowing white eyes gleamed from beneath the hood. They weren't normal eyes, they were empty, almost like holes leading into nothingness, and yet, before Jake could react, the passenger door unlocked with a loud click. The hitchhiker climbed inside. Part 3: The Unseen Passenger. Jake's breath hitched. He hadn't touched the lock. He hadn't invited them in. And yet, here they were, seated beside him. The car smelled different now, a strong metallic scent, almost like rusted iron or blood. The air turned colder. He could see his breath fogging up in front of him. Jake forced a nervous chuckle, gripping the wheel so tightly his knuckles turned white. Where are you headed?" Silence. The hitchhiker did not move, did not answer. Jake swallowed hard and kept driving. The road ahead stretched into darkness. But something was wrong. He wasn't recognizing any of the landmarks. There should have been a gas station about 5 miles back. He had driven this road countless times, but it felt different. Too long, too empty. Then, out of the corner of his eye, he noticed something even more chilling. The hitchhiker's reflection was missing from the passenger side window. Part 4: The Wrong Turn. His heart pounded against his ribs. He reached for his phone, but the screen was black. Dead. The radio crackled again. A voice, faint, distant, almost pleading. "Don't look at them." Jake's hands trembled. He glanced at his passenger. They hadn't moved an inch, but he swore the hood had slipped back just slightly. Something was underneath. Something shifting. Crawling. Changing. Jake swallowed the lump in his throat. He needed to get out of this road. He turned the wheel sharply, taking an unfamiliar exit, hoping to find a town or at least another car. But as he drove down the winding path, the road narrowed, the trees closing in on both sides. Then he saw the sign. "Welcome to Blackwood! Population 0!" His breath caught in his throat. Population 0? His eyes flickered to the rearview mirror, and what he saw made his blood run cold. The hitchhiker was gone. The passenger seat was empty, but a whisper right beside his ear, "You took the wrong turn." Part 5. Nowhere to run. Jake slammed on the brakes. He spun around, expecting to see the hitchhiker behind him, but there was nothing. Just the eerie glow of his taillights reflecting against the thick mist. His hands shook as he tried to put the car in reverse, but the engine sputtered and died. And then the scratching began. From the roof, from the trunk, from the inside of the car. Long, deliberate scrapes against the metal, like nails or something sharper. Something inhuman. Jake's breathing was erratic. He reached for the door handle ready to bolt, but the locks clicked down. His headlights flickered, casting long, distorted shadows on the trees ahead. One of those shadows moved. Something stepped forward. A tall, hooded figure, identical to the hitchhiker, but this one was not alone. More emerged from the mist, surrounding the car. Faceless, hollow, silent. The radio screeched. The car lights died. And in the overwhelming darkness, the last thing Jake felt was cold fingers wrapping around his throat.